Hi everyone, thanks so much for having me here. I would like to see this picture. I took it on the last weekend here in the beach Pajam. Because you have an amazing country. Thanks so much for having me here. I'm so glad. My name is Juan Picado. I'm front-end engineer at Mobile.de in Adivinte. I live in Berlin. And also, I am open source free-time developer at Verdaccio since 5 years ago. Sorry. So today we will talk about what's Verdaccio. And maybe you might not be aware, so I will start with a small introduction and also how it helps to solve the problems that developers have with their not using a private registry. Also, other things you can do with it, for instance, end-to-end testing and using plugins and also proxy from the registries. I will finish sharing what's the new things is coming in Verdaccio in the next major release. But I have stickers and magnets, so please reach me out later. I will share with you. So, what's Verdaccio? Verdaccio is an open source proxy, Node.js proxy private registry, and it's completely open source, completely free. It's also MPA licensed, so you can use it as you like. So it allows you to publish private packages. You can host your own registry, or also you can publish locally. Also, it proxy from multiple registries. By default, it does from npm.js, but also you can hook as much registry you want. You will see that a bit later. Also, it has zero dependencies. You don't have anything to install to run Verdaccio. Well, you need Node.js, of course, but I will imagine you have this already installed on your computer, right? Also, it has a nice web user interface. You can watch the video, you can search the packages, you can navigate through the dependencies, and also the versions. Also, you can even download the tarballs directly from the UI. It's really nice. Also, it's a pluggable web application because Verdaccio, it's basically most of the features are plugins, and then you can replace them if you don't. This feature doesn't actually fit to you. We will see that a bit more later at the end. Also, it's really lightweight. It's only 1.5 megabytes of JavaScript, and it takes 3 seconds more or less to start up, depending on your hardware. Yeah, which makes really an option if you want to use Verdaccio within your project or in your CI pipeline. So how do you use a private registry? Well, you need a package manager. How many of you have actually published a package in a registry? Okay, awesome. So you can publish a package with any of these, but you can also install packages and publish packages. But did you know there's a lot of commands here you can use, and actually they speak with the registry? For instance, you can use npm deprecate for deprecated packages and notify users they should not use the package anymore. Also, you can create tokens. And even, did you know you can use npm start to start a package? Even if it's not visible on the registry, you can actually do this. So you can see John is not aligned with other package managers, but they actually, you can create plugins. You can help the community to align, and so all the package managers actually support all these comments if you like. How to install Verdaccio is really simple. Just install the package globally, and that's pretty much what you have to do. Then run Verdaccio in the terminal. And then you have a Node.js registry running in your computer. But if you are more into the Docker stuff, then you can also use the official Docker image. And it's really, really simple to use. Also, as a good Node.js citizens, we use versions. So also you can use the Docker image with tags. But if you're even more into the Helm, into Kubernetes stuff, also we have a Helm official chart maintained by the community. I have to say, Verdaccio Docker is the most popular way to use nowadays. More than 83 million Docker pulls in the last years, 50 of them just in the last one. As any other open source project, Verdaccio, it has its own history. Everything started with Sinopia. Verdaccio is a fork of Sinopia, which was created in 2013. And Sinopia is a pioneer of the private registries because it was the very first which I was allowing to users to publish packages, even before the brand to JFrog and Nexus. And even way before the npm.js, they did it publicly in 2015. Actually, I joined the project as a contributor in 2016, and I have to release all the versions you can see there. And the one we are going to talk about today is the version number 5. So I will show you in a second how you can actually publish a package really quickly. Don't blink, it's going to be really fast. On this side, you will see I'm writing npm publish registry and then the location of my registry, localhost. In the other side, I just start in Verdaccio. And then I just publish the package. That's all. That's easy. You have a private registry in your computer. So why Verdaccio? Why should I have my own registry when I have one for free? Well, there is a lot of answers for this. In the last census of the Linux Foundation was released early this year, from 70 to 90% of the code you're using in your projects is open source. It comes from one single place. Do you know what is this place? The private registry, npm.js. Which this might be a problem sometimes, because you don't have a problem until you have the problem, and this happens quite often. Maybe because the npm.js registry is having some issues, or maybe because some layer in the middle is not working. You can remember the last week Cloudflare, which actually was down for a few hours, and actually also affected the npm.js. And without this registry, you cannot install packages, and you cannot run your projects. And this is because the Node.js registry is a fundamental part of the ecosystem. What do you do when actually you don't have, you cannot install packages? What do you do? Well, usually we go to Twitter and we yell, hey, we cannot install packages. Oh, we cannot do anything right now. But we can do better. We can absolutely do better. This is the reason because I always recommend to have a proxy registry between your projects and the private registry. Always. There is a lot of good reasons, and you might think, but my package manager, they have local cache. They have local cache. I don't need anything else to cache packages. Well, this is actually true. But what happens, you have a continuous integration CI in the middle. Because when you are building in your CI, all these pull requests basically start from clean state. And the server, you won't have cache. Also, if you are developing locally and you're building your Docker image, probably you won't have cache anymore because you need to build the image as well locally. And it's completely isolated. Another good reason is save resources. How many times do you open a pull request and then you commit and then you wait until it's finished the install step? And this is installing from npm.js or from a registry you have using the same dependency over and over and over. And this is a waste of resources. It's much easier to have all the cache because the proxy is cached by demand. Once you get requests for React, for instance, to your proxy, it's going to be there. So the next request is going to serve from the proxy, which is more closer to your project. So, and this is really nice because when there is a problem between the proxy and the registry, you won't notice at all. You won't notice. I've been using proxies on my current company for the last year. I'm running out of options. I'm running out of excuses to go to the kitchen because the services are always working. When I started in Verdaccio, I thought a registry might be something useful only for publishing packages and share with my friends online. But there is a lot of reasons why you can also have and use a private registry offline mode. I like to listen to the community, all the problems they bring to me. And I really like this one. Let me introduce Roy Kent. He has a teaching environment in a prison where all the students, they cannot have internet for obvious reasons. It's for security. And he wrote me because he had this concern. He wanted to teach Node.js in this environment. How you can teach Node.js if there is no registry? You cannot access to this registry. He actually created this project using Verdaccio plus other features he needed because they're custom for teaching Node.js on this area. And this is not the unique person that actually brought me to the same problem. 2 persons, different prisons, teacher environments brought me because they actually want to achieve this. This is not the unique reason. There is companies which actually they cannot allow you to access to the external services without crossing several policies of bureaucracy. And remember, we live in a world which is not everyone has internet at home. So you need to have a Node.js registry in your power. Another reason to use a private registry, a proxy registry, is this file. How many of you have an .npm ASCII file in your projects? How many of you have seen token on this file, the one it's on the bottom? I think this is really a bad idea. How many of you have published a package to the registry accidentally? I did. How many of you have pushed sensitive data to GitHub or GitLab or whatever you are publishing to the public? This happens because we are humans. So I think both tokens on this file is really risky. But we can do better. Let's speak about proxy packages. It's connected with the previous slide. So let's imagine you have a Verdaccio registry running in your environment. And then you get the request. So you are setting up Verdaccio and you're telling, OK, I'm getting a request from Webpack, and Webpack is from the upstream. It's from npm.js. He's going to go route the request to this registry, and it's going to serve package Webpack in your client. But then you have another package, which is private. And this package is coming from another registry, which is private. So you can tell to Verdaccio, hey, this is the token for this kind of packages, and it's in this location. So the clients, they don't need to have this access. They don't need to have these credentials anymore. Everything is going to be handled by the proxy. So when you have to change the tokens, you don't have to go through all your clients to update the tokens. This is a piece of configuration of the Verdaccio file. We name app links to this location you can actually connect. By default, you will find npm.js, but also you can add your own private registries. I'm just calling this one private. I just add my own URL, and I'm telling to this specific registry, this is protected. Please use this type of header, and the token is from here. There is different configuration for this, but this is just the most common example. Keep in mind the private key, because we will need it later. Then there is another section on the configuration file, which is package. And here's where all the magic happens. By default, you will find two sections. One with match with all the scope packages, and another one which match with anything else. You can see there is different sections: access, publish, and proxy. The proxy is the one which is connected with the previous section. So when a match of a package name match with this pattern is going to route the package through this different registry. But also you can add your own sections if you like. For instance, I want to have my own section for the scope. Anything that matches with the scope is going to go through the proxy private, the one we just set up before, because it's another location. You can see also we have access all, which means anyone can access this package, and also publish and unpublish, which I'm allowing only few. Those are dedicated to actually publish to this section. But sometimes you don't need to route the request anywhere else, because you know only your package is in your registry, only there. And then you need to remove this property. Why? Well, you might remember the dependency confusion attack. If you don't remember this one, it happens early last year. In the Verdaccio documentation website, in the security section, you can read, there's a lot of links to absolutely nice reports. You can read what actually this attack looks like. But to avoid this with Verdaccio, just remove this property proxy from the configuration. Because if you know the package is not anywhere else than in your registry, then you don't have to go there. Just remove this section. So, few things here. Recommendations: always scope your packages. It's secure, it's much better, it looks more organized. There is a lot of benefits, but also it's secure. Only proxy when you need it. If your package is in your private registry, don't look anywhere else. Just remove this proxy property I showed you before. Protect your packages from unauthorized access. I've seen so many registries open. Some of them using Verdaccio. And we need to be responsible with the security. Add the authentication role when you know you want the limit to the access to only specific persons. End-to-end testing is one of the reasons why I really like to work in contribute to Verdaccio. Because there is a lot of open source projects that actually are using Verdaccio for end-to-end testing. And I didn't realize until actually some project actually approached me and told me, hey, I want to use a local registry for publish my packages locally in my CI. Let me give you an example of what happens when you don't do this. Let's imagine you have a CLI and you're using npx, and it does something else, just random something in your terminal. And then this package, it has connection with all the packages. Click it. With a lot of different packages. But the last week, I was just migrating to TypeScript, and then I forgot to update the main field. It happens, right? And I just published my package. I forgot this. What do you think happens? Boom, it crashes everything. And you will realize of these things only in production. Because you have unit testing, you have integration testing, but usually the packages don't speak each other. And when it's too late, when you upgrade the dependencies, you don't notice until you are in production. This is a list of famous projects, and they have two things in common, all of them. First, I'm proudly saying this, all of them, they're using Verdaccio, and many more. But there is another thing which they have in common. All of them, they're mono repositories, and they have tons of packages. I can tell you, PNPN has more than 100 packages. Angular CLI, 50, 60, something like that. And you will see Babel now, because they have a lot of them. And they have a story which I will share that happened a few years ago about Babel.js. Hopefully they don't kill me. Yeah, this happened in 2018. And some user reported that some dependency was missing. It was when they were releasing version 7 of Babel.js. And they actually noticed the problem was, I forgot to update the per dependency in my package. Yeah, we are humans, right? So we make mistakes. And nobody sees this in the pull request. Do you know how many packages has Babel.js? We'll see now. So they learned the lesson, and they actually wanted to do something. They want to automate the process, so this will never happen again. And they tried to use npm link. Yeah, but npm link turns out it's not really good with mono repositories. Also, it's not performant, but also it's a bit of pain. So they decided to try out using a proxy registry, local. And this is how I actually started using Verdaccio. This was a pull request from the first initial try. Babel.js, it has its own pipeline in Bash. So they actually, this is the snippet that actually they are actually setting up the registry. As you can see, they're only running npx Verdaccio, and that's pretty much all they have to do. Then they're just installing some plugins. We'll see that later, how they can install plugins. And then they just wait for in the last line, they wait just the registry startup. Like I mentioned before, it's only 3 seconds. So this is really fast, so they can actually afford this. If you look into the Babel.js pipeline, it's really huge. They have a lot of things. They're using Lernac with Yarn. What they're doing in the end-to-end testing, actually they're using GitHub Actions with matrix configuration. They actually, in the first step, they publish all the packages to the local registry when they are running a pull request. And they have set up a lot of packages. Vue, React, Prettier.js, Create Right App. All these packages are what the user is using, right? So because when you're running end-to-end, you want to emulate what the user are doing in their computers. What they are doing is, in this AI, they are installing all the packages from the local registry. The ones they published before in the pull request, they are already in the local. But this project also, they have another dependencies, and they are coming through the proxy in the way we saw before. They do this on every pull request, and they run tests. How actually run the test? It's really simple. What they do basically, it's a really long file. I just try to resume. They just start up the registry. They install the packages from the local registry, and they just run the tests, which they actually are built in Create Right App. If it works, then everything is working fine. This is the experience that any user will have, right? Because when you install a package from any project and suddenly crash because some dependency is not there or something else, this is really annoying because you cannot see what's happening. And they can see this on every pull request. Because Babel, it has more than 150 packages, and they serve more than 40 million weekly downloads. That's a lot. Before you snap, you have already dependency update in your site. And they cannot afford to make mistakes anymore because they will have tons of tickets why this is not working. And this is the reason why they're using Verdaccio, because they give them confidence. Let me tell you something. It doesn't matter which package manager you are using nowadays. All of them, they support workspaces. In the last stages of the last year, 56% of the users replied that they are using package managers for mono repositories. A few years ago, people were using Lerna. Nowadays, we have amazing tools like NX and TurboRepo as well. But the reality is the user, they can use only a package manager for a mono repository nowadays. Maybe they're combining the package manager with Lerna or something like that. You can do that as well. The button I noticed, because every project in open source, which is the one I have access because I have no access to private projects, this is what they do. Always they create, and the very first step, the initial local Verdaccio. And then they publish the packages, just in the way we saw the Babel.js. They install from the local registry. What is not in the local is going to be served from outside, and they run the test. This is the simple way to do it. But Verdaccio also can be used programmatically. This is quite new. So you can just have Verdaccio as a dependency like any other library and just run the server in your end-to-end test if you like. So you can have your YAML file, which is the official configuration file of the Verdaccio, or you can have your JavaScript file if you like. I have prepared some examples for you, which you can use to start up and play around, stuff like that. I will totally recommend the one in the middle, because use GitHub Actions with the Docker image directly. And it only actually it actually does what any user will do. Verdaccio is file by system by default, which might be not what actually you're expecting for, because Verdaccio was meant for developers, not for scaling in big scale. So you can actually change a lot of things, right? So you know, a request goes through the proxy and gets something upstream. And Verdaccio is just an Express.js application. And it's fundamental 3 parts. It's a middleware. If you already know how to use Express.js, you might be aware of, familiar with this term. And also a storage, and it has an authentication. All these instances, they actually use the plugin loader. And the plugin loader, what it does, it just resolves packages using the Node.js algorithm. All the plugins are being loaded for the config YAML file. Let's create a small plugin right really quickly. So it's just a class, JavaScript class. We are providing task types, so it's much easier for the developer experience, so you don't know exactly what you need to build. And for this example, the middleware, you need only to apply one method. If you're aware of how the Express works, we are just adding some header, and as good Node.js citizens, we are calling next, so the requests go to the next layer. So what I do with this package, I just publish, probably your local Verdaccio. And if you see there is some kind of naming convention, Verdaccio does something, and this is something what you have to add to the middleware section on the configuration file. And then you can have some configuration as you like, depending on what your plugin is doing. But if it's not enough, you can also use a scope if you like. Okay, to make it easier, we have a geoman generator, which you can use just to create your template if you like. And it's quite easy to use. Just follow the questions, fill all the information it's asking for you, so to pump up your nice package.json file, and automatically you will have a template file with all the files. You can actually see how actually this project looks like. You have templates inside, what you do. If you have any questions, you can go to the documentation, but this is really easy actually to create a Verdaccio. I have to rush up. What else? Well, it had a lot of features. I have not much time, but yeah, the interface, rate limiting, notifications, you can send notification when you publish. You can use JSON Web Tokens. You can use HTTPS built-in, and also you can use npm audit. And like I mentioned before, it supports a lot of command packages. So what's next in the next release? Yeah, the next release is version 6. You can use this stack. Yes, all the features for the next release you can actually use them in version 5. This is why, because you can modularize we are modularizing the project, and also you can get the benefits in the recent release, and you can search in all packages. And other kind of improvements we are adding to the project. So this is in development. You can use them by just running this. And yeah, some recommendations: always cache your packages. Use a local registry for end-to-end test. And yes, create plugins, share it with the community. So you can see me only here, but behind of me there is 371 persons which are contributing to Verdaccio. Also to the users, because without them and the users, probably I won't be here today. Thank you.